Hey, good morning. Happy Monday, kids. This is a project we're gonna do today, and I'm pretty excited about it. I hope you guys are primed for a good week. We have IAR testing for some of you, so some of you are coming in to take it who are remote. Those of you that are in person are gonna take it this week. So I won't be meeting with my different pods with the exact same schedule. Some of you are gonna be joining Miss Kresick today, and some of you are gonna be joining Dr. James today. But I wanted to kind of unveil this project that I'm pretty excited about. I made this yesterday. I made this over the weekend, and it just kind of developed. It's called a tessellation. So you see the word up here. It's called a tessellation, and a tessellation means that a shape that repeats over and over again, like when you put it next to each other. You can fill an entire page or an entire plane without any gaps, any spaces. And my tessellated shape is the one right in the middle here. I'm going to hold it up right here. This is my tessellated shape. That's what I started with, which is pretty crazy, right? Look at that thing. So you can look at it from different angles, see different things. And I want to show you how I made this. Like I repeated this over and over again. And what I was able to do was create this design from this shape, which I'm super excited about. Like I kind of riffed off the shape and it turned into this slowly. Like I kept working at it and thinking like, what do I see? What do I see? And I saw that bird on the top. Now I want to show you how I made it. So like this is the end product. This is what you're getting toward. Now you do not have to make my design. I actually prefer that you wouldn't. I'd prefer that you made kind of like your own design. But I want to show you some of the things we start with. One of the things we're going to need are Post-its, right here, Post-its, right? One Post-it, that's all you need, one, that's it. Scissors, a little bit of tape would be handy, and then like your normal, like pen, pencil, paper. But you know, like pretty simple. Post-it, tape, scissors. See that? Not much. Now, what we do with this is we're going to start with that Post-it, and we're going to draw a design. And what I did, I'm going to hold this up. I drew that design. You see the shape with the little bird or the little kind of squiggly shape, and the other one I made just a triangle. And then what I do is I move it to the other part of the page, right? So then I take this bird, or this, it's not even a bird, it's just a thing, and I moved it directly to the other side of the page, right here, and it turns into this shape, which is the thing I showed you, right? Like I moved the bird or the squiggly shape, the squiggly thingy thing here up here, and I moved the triangle thingy thing over here, and it made this super cool shape. And then I looked at that shape and I was like, I don't know what it is. I don't know what I see here. And I ended up seeing a bird, but I also kind of saw like an elephant maybe with its trunk up in the air. I saw like, if you flip it upside down, if you flip it in another direction, you might see something else. So I'm trying to see different shapes. So what I then did was I designed the parts of it. So we're going to kind of go through on the slides the process. It's kind of fun, right? Zipping through. You guys see that? Isn't that fun to look at it like this? Check it out, right? Pretty cool. So let's go through that again fast. So it ended up like this. Uh, Here we go. See more color every time. See that? Different color, different strips, right? So what I started with, step one, if you look on my slides, I have steps, right? Step one, I made a design. Like I just drew something out. I didn't care what it was, but I drew it on two adjacent sides. And what that means is I drew it on this side right here and that side right there. If you draw it on all the sides, it won't work. So I just did a design on one side that was a triangle, and I did a design on the adjacent side, which means the one that's right next to it with a squiggly thing. And then the next thing I did was I cut those out. I cut them out carefully. I didn't lose any paper. So as I cut them out, I wanted no paper to be disappearing. I wanted everything to be there, right? And then I moved them. So I took the squiggly shape and moved it directly, I translated it directly up, and I put it in the same location where I started. And the way I did that was I measured the shape from here to there. I actually folded this over and looked at how far it was, made a little mark. So I said, okay, this shape, that dimension right there should be the same up here. And then I taped this thing into place, right? So that's like this part up here my the top of my squiggly. I taped it in place right there. So I folded this up to look, and then I taped it. And then I did the same thing with the triangle. Now, since the triangle started right at the corner, I could just move that right over. The next step, after I taped it, was I got the shape, right? And this is my tracer. This is the one I'm holding right here. And I then would trace it, right? So I would trace it on the middle of a sheet of paper. And the sheet of paper I used was, I don't know if you can see this one. This is an 11 by, it's a legal size sheet of paper. It's a little big than 11 by 8.5. It's 11 by 17 maybe, or 11 by 14 is what it is. So I had a little more space for it, right? But notice what you see in this final one is way different than this. That's because I started breaking it up after I traced it. So I traced it a few times. I traced it once and then again and then again, and I kept going. And you notice it's the same shape over and over, and I was careful when I traced it. Then I ended up with a whole sheet that looked like this. Now that's pretty interesting all by itself. That is a true tessellation right there. That is like the only thing you see is this shape over and over again, and you see no spaces. Everything comes together at the corners of the post-its. If you look at them, there's still like four different ones coming together at each corner. That should be the same, I think, for all of yours when you do them at home. But once I did that, I got a little more creative. I started taking some liberties with the drawing, trying to bring in, make it into something more, right? And that's where this comes in. I saw that bird, right? And I was like, all right, I'm putting in the eye for each of the birds. I'm putting that in on each one. And then I was like, see the blue lines? Can you guys see the blue? I drew in this other line right here on every single pattern. I drew this blue line from that dot to that dot. And I used a straight edge. I actually didn't even use a straight edge. You know what I used? I used like just a coaster that I had. So I had one of these like silly coasters, just anything straight and flat to draw that last line, right? So I put it on there, drew it on. And the idea is that you want it to be the same on each one. So make sure when you're breaking your thing up, make sure you break it up the same, right? So this is like your creative pattern, right? Now from there, you see I also added like the little foot to the bird right here. I added that to every single one. So I went through and kept adding. Now from there, I started to add more. I added the little wing in. Do you see that? I added the wing. And then I started coloring. But when I colored, I noticed that I liked having different colors appear. I was thinking almost like a sunrise. And I thought like I did this pink stretch here with pink marker. And then I was like, let's get a little bit darker here and shade it. So I put another line in. You guys see that I have another line right here? So I did all the light pink, and then I did the darker pink, and I put a line in between. And then I even left space for another shade of color because I kind of want this to be a little more complex. And that's where when you finish it, it gets pretty complex. So the next step is that I put in that darker red and I put another line. So I'm breaking it up, but notice that every single one of them is the same. Like you see that red piece right here, the thin one? There's a whole bunch of them because I did them for every spot. So I made sure that the line for that one went from the tail right up to the foot here, right? On each one. So every single pattern that started off like this ends up being the same on my drawing, which gives it this kind of quality where you look at it and you're like, oh, I think it looks cool. I think it looks really cool, right? Really cool. Don't you think it's really cool? All right. So this is our final. That's my final product. You know, that's my final thing, and I'm proud of this. Like I was just messing around with it. I knew we were going to do a tessellation today, but when I made it, it took me some time. But I definitely just kind of went with it. Whatever I kind of felt like I did, I just made sure I did it for each one. And you'll find that the repetition of it starts to create the interest. The idea that you're coloring it carefully with different shades creates the interest, right? So then this is kind of like the detail of it, right? That's where it started and this is where it finished. Now, your job is to get one of these done by Friday. If you can do two of them, if you want to experiment and do a really simple one and then a really complex one, awesome. I'll give you extra credit if you do that. But I want you to kind of spend some time in this, practice it, get into it, make something interesting, right? And if you want to do one just like mine, I'm okay with that. I'd prefer that you make your own design, your own shape, your own kind of spirit, your own creativity comes into it. So enjoy this project. I think it's a fun one, and I think it's a nice thing to think about with math and how things tessellate. So this idea of tessellations and being creative and what you can do with kind of like a mathematical process. Like this is a mathematical process. I like going through it really fast. So starting from something this simple, right, and building this, it's a mathematical process. Isn't it nice to see that go through like that? Dun, 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 dun. All right, kids. Have a good day. Have a good week. If you are testing this week, good luck. And if you, when you get to work on this, if you have any questions, feel free to send me an email. I'm also posting another video of someone else who did this and explains how to do it. So if you want to watch that as well and get some more ideas, awesome. Have a great day, kids. Bye.